that's a good segue into our presentation today regarding your property management questions answered. So this is an opportunity. Oh yes, why don't we do RentSpree first, please?
Yeah,
our sponsor.
Let's go to our sponsor first with RentSpree, because this is, I mean, all of this obviously ties in together, right? RentSpree is such an amazing tool that I personally use and have used. Many of our agents in our office use it and love it. There's so many different things you can do as far as, I'm not even going to tell you. I'll let Stephen tell you everything. But Stephen, thank you for coming. Thank you for sponsoring. We really appreciate it. You know, besides everyone who's listening here today, your information is going to go out to the rest of our group as well. So thank you so much. Take it away, and I'll highlight your video. If you want, do you need to screen share?
Just briefly, yeah. Thanks,
okay.
Anthony.
You're able to do that.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, yeah, thanks so much, Anthony, and thank you, everyone. You know, RentSpree is a local business. You know, we're based here in Southern California. We're actually have an office in Sherman Oaks in the San Fernando Valley. And we are partners with CAR, CRMLS, as well as DMLS, CLAW, Greater LA Realtors, and many others as well. As Anthony was saying, you know, we're a tenant screening company, but we've kind of branched out into kind of all different aspects of the renter journey. So we offer rent payments, renter's insurance, rent estimates. You can even, you know, get automated reference checks through RentSpree. So there's just really just a lot of options for you as a realtor, property manager, landlord. I'm actually a landlord myself, and I've, you know, shameless plug, I've used RentSpree to find tenants to kind of go live with me. And it's been super easy because the reports are delivered like right away. So my applicants pay $38 and I get an application, I get a credit check, background check, and eviction right away. So it really helps me save a lot of time. And I know Anthony has been, you know, a super user of RentSpree. He's also been one of our guests on our podcast called It's Closing Time. So if you guys haven't checked that out, please do listen to his episode. There's awesome information there. And yeah, we have a website that I just want to briefly share with everyone here. Let me see if I can have so many windows open. Let's see.
I mean, just to give, while you're finding that, a quick kind of testimonial. When I use RentSpree for a tenant, just for something simple as tenant screenings, the owners of the property are super impressed with the report because it's really easy to read. It has their email address, their phone number, their credit score, their eviction history, all the cool stuff that any owner obviously is going to want to have. But the format and layout of it is so easy to have, and it's something that they're able to keep, you know, throughout the term of the lease, and it's really made me look good as an agent. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks, Anthony, for the context. You know, it's super important as an agent to look good, right? Like you want to be able to offer tools that are efficient, they're easy to use. And, you know, a lot of renters right now are younger, right? Like millennials, Generation Z, and these people grew up with technology. So when they see something like this, they're thinking, oh, I don't actually have to fill out a paper application anymore. I can just do everything online. I can pay everything online. I don't need to worry about, you know, collecting, you know, cash or making a check to anybody. It's just super simple. And this is just our website, rentspree.com. We make it super easy for you to sign up. Really, all you need is an email address and password. You know, again, right here, that's literally all you need to get started. But going back to the website for a little bit, I do want to call out that everything is available here for you. So if you have any questions about what we offer, you can see some of our features here on the home site. And what's really great about us is that we offer individualized demos. So what's amazing is that you can actually speak to a live RentSpree customer agent who will literally walk you through everything you need to know about our platform. And not a lot of tech tools offer that, right? Sometimes you have to spend hours on the phone on hold, you know, talking to like 5 different people. But with RentSpree, you know, we have a fully staffed team that speaks English, Spanish, you know, super helpful. And again, we're local. So we have a phone line. You can do a live chat with us, or you can request a demo right here on our website. So, and we've come a long way since we started working with Anthony 2 years ago. pretty pretty great to see. So thanks, Anthony, for always supporting us and being our champion.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you guys have been doing a great job. You're always offering something new, and I know you're looking to expand and working on that, and I'm sure there's going to be some new exciting stuff coming up soon. But it's a tool that's, I'm not like I like things that are super streamlined, easy, and being able to text a rental application to a tenant is everything to me. And then getting a text back when it's filled out, being able to check it out so simply. It's really been a saver for me. So yeah, thank you just even for that side. And for property managers, for the rental collection side of it, I haven't even explored that yet, but that's a whole nother thing that is available as well to kind of keep it all into one. So.
Absolutely. And yeah, just some quick minor updates before I wrap up. So we did close our Series B funding.
Okay.
So super exciting. You know, we're on track to hopefully go public in the next couple of years. And we are going to be at the CAR convention in Long Beach this year. So if you're going to be in Long Beach, feel free to stop by our booth. We're going to have 5 or 6 rent-free folks there. So we would love to meet you in person.
Great. I will be there. Hopefully a lot of us will. And it's, oh gosh, what are the dates? But it's the middle of, I think it's around the 11th and 12th of October in Long Beach. It's California Association of Realtors Expo. So it's close to us this time. If you're in LA, you can drive down for the day, check out all of the great vendors, and there's tons of good classes as well. One of my favorite things is there's also a luncheon you can buy a ticket for, and CAR's chief economist will give their 2023 market forecast. And that's always kind of mind-blowing to see the probably 100 different stat charts and graphs that they show through that presentation. We as a multifamily meetup group we'll be putting on a 2023 market forecast later in the year, at the end of the year as well. So, but if you get a chance to go down into Long Beach, the middle of October, definitely check it out. So thank you for being here, Stephen. We really
Thanks, Anthony. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and leave my email in the chat.
Yeah, anything you want to put in the chat, please do. And also, if there's anything you want me to send out to anyone, send that to me and we'll get it out to everyone in our group that's here and not here as well. So thank you so much for being here today and your sponsorship. We really appreciate it.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, everyone.
All right, well.
All right, do you mind spotlighting Diana, Andrea, and Rebecca?
Rebecca Watson?
Yep. All right, so as I mentioned, we are Tiao Properties is a property management company, and my wife and partner Diana Tiao heads that group, and we brought our entire team here today so you guys could get a chance to ask your property management questions that you guys might have. But I thought I would start things out by asking each one of the team members to talk about maybe one question. What's your most commonly asked question that owners ask or people ask you, and what is the answer? So let's start, Diana. Let's start with you, and then we'll go around.
Hello, everyone. I'm Diana Tiao. I'm really happy to be here. And one of the things that's one of my responsibilities is I work with new clients and I do a lot of business development. And so people come to us and they're wondering why they should consider property management. And for me, I just noticed there's 4 things. First is time and resources. So if you're get a property and you have a busy life, you know, if you have a family, if you have busy work, or you just don't want to deal with the management, we're a really good resource for you. And the second is that we have a lot of knowledge regarding the property management rules and regulations. we've been doing this for 10 years, and I feel like I'm still learning every single day. Rules change, and it's, we're working with city versus a county versus a state. And so it's really important for us that we are on top of all those different things. And even for me, it's like I refer to Andrea or Rebecca or other people on our team, because they may be experts in certain areas, and there's a lot of nuances. A third thing is that we help our clients strategize long-term and short-term goals. So we look at the property and we look at the rents, we look at what some of the long-term maybe deferred maintenance is and what their personal goals are. But we help strategize so that it makes the most sense for them. Sometimes it makes the most sense for the owner to just keep it, hold on to it, and just continue to collect the income. Sometimes it makes sense for them to look at selling the property. And finally, we're looking to just help you increase the value of the property. So if you're looking to refinance at some point, or if you want to sell it in the future, whatever those reasons are, we want to put you in the best position for that. So those are the 4 reasons why you would want to consider a property management company. And thanks for being a good sport about our kids. They love Zoom. They love being on here and hearing about real estate. So.
All right, thank you. Thanks, Diana. Next, we have someone in person, Mary Allen, who was our lead property manager. Mary just celebrated her 1-year anniversary with us, but she has many years of property management experience with other companies. Mary, perhaps you can tell us one of the most commonly asked questions that you get.
Sure, thank you, Will. Great to see everybody here, and I'll try to include our in-person and video people. Mary Allen, I'm the lead property manager with Tiao Properties, and I'm really grateful to be with the company. We have some great specialists on the team in our maintenance, accounting, and leasing, and I rely on the whole team on a daily basis to answer questions and help interface with owners and with tenants. I deal a lot with owners and sort of, communicating. Sometimes it's a way of convincing them that what needs to be done, or framing something that should happen at a property and getting them on board. I often get asked if we do evictions. That's always a big topic. And the short answer is yes. Sometimes it's necessary, and when that's the case, we bring on a legal team, because you definitely want to do it by the book. There are certain notices and certain time frames that have to happen. But an actual eviction is a legal judgment, and it's very rare that it actually happens. First of all, it's very tenant friendly here in LA, but it's not an overnight process. Usually, if someone gets to the point of an eviction, they've had multiple notices, multiple opportunities to correct whatever the violation is or pay the rent. So they, the tenants have, they're in distress at that point, and then usually cannot comply for whatever reason. So the best way to avoid eviction is actually to be proactive, and I'm going to give you 5 tips to avoid eviction. The first one is proper tenant screening when you move someone in. So background credit check, proof of income, reference check. Alex can tell you all about that too. The second recommendation is to hold your tenants accountable for their lease terms. And if you're a, if you're a smaller investor, if you're doing property management on your own, sometimes it can be very tempting. I've done it myself, to say, oh, you can't pay on the 1st. Well, okay, the 15th is okay. Or can I bring a dog in? I know it's not on the lease. Sure. I highly advise you stick to the lease, keep it business-like, and it doesn't do anyone a favor if you bend the rules, because it can create a long-term scenario that you don't want. Additionally, don't make friends with your residents. It can be friendly, but keep it business-like. Fourth, attend to your maintenance and repairs in a timely manner. and that comes into play. That's just good business as a property owner. But also, if it ever came down to a point where a tenant says, I can't pay rent, my experience is that's the moment that all the complaints start to come out, whether they're valid or not. But if you have a paper trail of when you answer the call in 24 hours and attended to the plumbing issue, you know, things that they've identified, take care of it in a timely manner. And even if they are not paying the rent, you still have to take care of those things. Because if it ever came before a judge, you want to show that you're doing your part as a landlord. And the fifth way to avoid an eviction scenario is to hire a property management company. That's my recommendation.
All right, thank you, Mary. We'll stay in the room and we'll go to Alex Murray, our leasing specialist and assistant property manager. Alex, what is something that you get commonly asked and how do you answer it?
How's everyone doing today? Hey, to our online viewers as well. A common question that I get so many different questions day to day, but a few of the main ones is I have a Section 8 voucher or I have an affordable voucher. Do you all accept Section 8? And the simple answer and the legal answer that you must say as a property manager or a landlord is yes. You have to accept Section 8. You cannot discriminate at all against anyone because of their financial standing or because they're getting, you know, government assistance. So you have to accept Section 8. So there's an answer that I generally get, or a question I generally get. Another one is my credit score is not so great. Should I apply, or do I have a chance of getting approved for this apartment? That's a tough one because a lot of times we just need to see the credit score. We just need to see the report, and maybe, you know, your credit score is a little low, but your income is enough to, you know, to take care of that or to kind of ease that credit score pain a little bit. So credit score definitely plays a part, and it really dresses up your application a lot. Does it just totally just remove you from the race? No, but it does hinder a bit. So having a good standing, nothing in collections, a lot of times it's something that I'm explaining to people, just being on time with your payments. All of those factors play a part, and those are things that I'm looking at daily. Another big question in my last one is generally from landlords when I'm speaking to some of the owners and some of the just people looking, the prospects, you know, is this apartment, is this home pet friendly? Or, you know, from the owner, they're asking, or they're telling us, you know, they prefer not to have a pet. You know, sometimes they've had longevity with the property. They've got memories there. They want to take care of it as much as possible, which is understandable. But if somebody, you know, we can push to not have a pet, of course. But if somebody comes with an emotional support certificate or a service animal certificate, there's nothing you can really do as an owner or a property manager. And you can't charge a deposit or a pet rent at that. So a lot of times I tell owners that it's best to, you know, advertise small dogs, maybe in a cat. That way we can get an additional deposit and possibly still charge a pet rent, you know, if that's the route you want to go.
Hey, thank you, Alex.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Can the landlord just say that?
You can, but like I said, if they come with an emotional support certification, basically like service animal, somebody maybe, you know, you can't even ask what the ailment is, basically. So someone could have a blind, you know, they may need their dog to take them around, and how you doing? They may need a dog to take them around, and that's their service animal. You know, you can't deny that. You know, somebody, they went to see a therapist and they give them a certificate for an iguana and emotional support animal. You know?
That part I really get. Yeah, I'm looking at it from a landlord side. Okay, I don't know that. And at some level, I get that he has to accept the application, but does he actually have to take it?
When it's emotional support. If it's emotional support, if they have that certification, that certificate, and they've seen a doctor, or if they have an ailment or some sort of injury or a reason that they need a service animal, you really can't deny that.
But we do have buildings under our management that don't have pets. I personally have a building that we don't have pets.
Okay.
We say no pets, you know, but if they have an ESA letter, which is pretty easy to get, you know,
See, that's the part that.
that's the part, right? That's legit,
How
right?
legitimate is it?
Exactly, that's where people can come in at. But we have a policy at that building, no pets. Okay, so you can't say it, but if they have the ESA letter, as he says, which is not that hard to get, you know, in the state of California, you know, then it's considered an emotional handling.
The best thing to do in that situation is to just look at where the certificate comes from and just try to verify as much as possible, as best as possible. That way you can say, hey, this is not a legitimate document. You just got this and made it yourself versus.
And by the way, we'll have questions, we'll have time for questions after this, because this is a chance for your property manager questions to answer. So you will absolutely have a chance to quiz us, whatever you guys want to ask. Let's go to Andrea.
Okay. Hi, Andrea Lee. I do work in finance for Tiao Properties. One of the questions I'm asked often is, what does my owner's statement include? Owner statements, which are sent out by the 10th of each month, along with the owner's disbursement. The statement includes a property cash summary showing cash in and out, along with all transactions from the prior month. An income statement with operating income and expenses, rent roll, balance sheet, any work orders from the previous month, and as well as copies of all invoices that have been paid, which include mortgage, utilities, property taxes, insurance, landscaping, pest control, basically any expenses that are related to the property.
Very good. Yes, there's always questions about money, right? Like, where's my money?
Yeah, when am I gonna get my money?
Why is this being deducted? What's going on? You know,
Yeah.
those are very, very important questions to ask and to know the answer to.
So can
yes.
I just want to add that one of the great things is that at the end of the year, when it's time for taxes, all you have to do is just take this packet to your CPA and then you're done. So that's the nice thing about having someone do the finances for you for the property management part of it.
Yeah, that is correct. Yeah, obviously on the management side, obviously every management company is different, but generally speaking, most management companies, you should just get an email at the end of the year with all your information and hand that email over to your CPA, and they should be able to do the rest of their magic. All right, and last but not least is Rebecca Watson, our management coordinator. Rebecca, what is the most common question you get, and what is the answer?
Hi, the most common question I get is just, like what happens when a tenant has a problem? How do you go about fixing it? And our process is we'll get the work order from the tenant. They'll tell us, what the problem is, whether it's plumbing or anything. And then from there, we go and choose the right vendor. And one of the things about property management is that we have vendors that trust us. We have these contracts, we have relationships with them, even in cases like we get, like discounted rates because they're such long-term clients. So we really build these relationships with vendors and they're willing to work with us. So we, assign the right vendor, we get the problem taken care of, we follow up with the tenant, make sure everything was done, and try to, get it all done in a timely manner. And, another question is recently with SCEP inspections, how do you go about those?
You want to explain what a SCEP inspection is?
Yes. Off the top of my head, I don't know it at the moment, what it stands for. But a SCEP inspection is a somewhat new thing that the LA City is doing, basically going into buildings and making sure that they are livable. They'll check things like water heaters, detectors, plumbing, just, everything has permits, all the work is done properly, and that the tenants that are living there are comfortable and willing, that it's a livable environment. And from there, you'll get like a correction sheet that these are all the things that need to be done. And we have timelines that we get these all done in. And, depending on how old your building is or, how the work was done, it's a lot of work. So one of the benefits of having a property management company is you don't have to deal with any of that. I do. So that's one of the.
Diana just put in the chat, SCEP stands for Systematic Code Enforcement Program.
Thank you, Diana.
So, yes, so for those of you who don't know, who haven't had the joy of having a SCEP inspection, it's a little bit like having a colonoscopy. You have an inspector from the city go in and check all the units, right? And make sure everything is to code. And what's even more fun recently is that they have decided to get together with the building safety and permit side and check if you are permitted for everything you have. That includes if you bought a building and this was an issue, you have a window that wasn't permitted 50 years ago, okay? They will make you go and get a permit for that window, okay? So those are the fun things we get to deal with on the property management side when you deal with inspections.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, and please introduce yourself. Lisa Gill, well, you're a realtor?
Yes, I'm a real estate agent, residential, but I also bought my first triplex as well.
Yes, you did.
I got my first 2 tenants out.
Nice.
So in terms of SCEP, like I know that one situation where the tenant flagged it, but beyond that, like what would flag a tenant SCEP inspection other than a tenant?
Well, I'll jump in. They're scheduled every 4 years approximately.
Okay.
3 or 4 years.
So it's routine, so basically the city will go out every 4 years or so.
Then they send you a notice, and if you're lucky, it'll come to your address, neighbor's address, but they will also post it and let the tenants know.
Okay, but do they give you notice you can be there, or? I mean, typically the owner has to be there, right? Someone has to be there to let them in, they don't just go in, right?
They can.
They will.
They will. If you are not there, they will try to go in. You know, so and this is the thing, the city isn't always, how should we say, the most up to date. I got a call the other day from a building I sold in 2018.
Right.
And they called me and then say, hey, we're here for the inspection for such and such Echo Park Avenue. I'm like, I am no longer the owner of that building. I sold it 4 years ago. And they're like, oh, can you give us the new owner's information? I'm like, no. You are the city. You go look it up. Right? But that is the city we're dealing with.
So are they being diligent about doing it every 4 years, or is it kind of like?
No, they're diligent about it.
Yeah.
They are absolutely diligent.
More rigorous.
So this is a new thing that's kind of started, or is it?
No, it's always been this way.
Oh, it has.
It's always been around, but they haven't been so adamant about every little detail until COVID happened.
We also had another guest join us. If you don't mind introducing yourself. Then.
Hi, my name is Juan Michael. I operate the owner of the firm that AJ works with. We're a real estate firm that specializes in dealing with investors and how they find their property or how they dispose of their property.
Very good. Nice to meet you and thank you for
My name is
coming.
Juan Michael, by the way.
Yeah, nice to meet you. Okay, well, this is an opportunity for anybody. If you want to, you can now open it up to the whole group if you want. And you know, anybody who has any questions for our property management team. Oh, I have a question that gets it because we have a lot of agents on here. So I'm gonna. And one question I get from agents is, my client asked if I can manage their property. Can I do that? And the answer is, well, you could if you want to get sued. If you don't have a broker's license. So technically speaking, if you are an agent, you must have a broker's license or be under a broker who does property management specifically, okay? That's very important. I had a previous property manager who had been an on-site property manager. She had a lot of experience doing property management. She had gotten her real estate license. She decided for somebody to manage their, I don't know, triplex. And then there was an issue, okay? And then she had her license again, right? So if you do, I just noticed that there were a lot of agents on this call. So I just wanted to put that out there for you, that you want to think about that before agreeing to take on management for a client. Leasing is different, but even leases, I got a call today from an agent who had a concern about a lease. Because if you don't disclose certain things in a lease, you could put yourself in jeopardy. Any other questions? I'm sure there's a few.
A few questions, if you don't mind,
Please.
Amber. Sorry, Diana, did you want to say something before I asked?
Go for it, Amber.
Okay, perfect. So speaking of the SEP, the Systematic Code Enforcement Program, assuming that those are happening regularly now, this is a two-part question. And then I also have another question about ESA and the ESA animals. But I wanted to ask about the inspections. One, have you noticed an uptick in this now that everyone thinks COVID is behind us? Like, are they going back out now and re-engaging? And the other thing is, so I own a few properties, and we did receive the code enforcement inspection prior to COVID, and then we were completing the list of items that we needed to, but no one has revisited that list. So, you know, it's been now 2-3 years. We did update that, but prior to updating it, it was the tenants that every time it would come out, they would pull down the fire alarm, or they would pull down the smoke detectors, or they would destroy something that they knew was going to alert the city and the enforcers that there was an issue, even though we could prove that we had that put up and we had pictures and we had, you know, videotapes. They still made us go through and redo that stuff. So I don't know if there's some way around that, but that's kind of a long-winded two-part question. Has the city re-engaged in these process? And then what do you do in the event that you have those tenants that are unruly?
Mary, do you want to take a shot at that?
Sure. So the SCEP inspection process has been around, I don't know how long, but it has been a while. But when COVID happened, the process changed. They were not going into the units, and they did a few remote inspections. And sometimes if the tenant, they would ask the tenant, "Is your smoke detector working? You know, show me the light," or, you know, press it, and they may be able to pass them that way. But what also happened, one of the inspectors told me, is that because they weren't going out as much, that the department decided to tell them, look on Google View and look at the property, look on the Google, what's it called, Earth, and you can see, okay, so the garage is there and it wasn't there before. Is that permitted? Like, okay, maybe there's an ADU. Now they just go to the building and safety website and see if there's a permit that matches up with that. So they were finding unpermitted items that they could cite even without going to the property. They are actually going back to the property now, and they have continued to use the permitting as like a major checkpoint. So I do think that the system has changed. They seem to be going at it more rigorously. I know they've hired people, more inspectors, because I bumped into one the other day. I know Rebecca might have some insight into this as well.
Yeah, I just did a SCEP inspection yesterday, actually, so I'm well versed on this. They do come out to the buildings. They're being more, they go inside every single unit. They look at everything. They have their checklist. They'll go to literally every corner of the apartment to check everything. And regarding your second question, it honestly just depends on the inspector. Some are more, some are super strict, some are more, like, just fix it and I won't cite it. Like, it really just depends on who you get. Sometimes they're super strict and sometimes they're more, trusting. It really just depends. It's a case by case basis.
But is the only way to combat that to go take your tenants to court and show, like, we've done this for the last 3 years, we've had to replace this same item? It's obviously the tenants that are taking it down, and when the inspectors come, it makes it so that we get fined. How can we either pass this on to the tenants, or how can we have the tenants not remove, these crucial items?
There have been times with detectors, for example, like tenants will like take the batteries out when the inspectors are there. And like I said, it depends on the inspector. Sometimes they'll put the batteries back in and try it, or they'll just trust the tenant's word, like, yeah, it works. Or we had a case where somebody replaced the light fixture with a fan that wasn't supposed to be there. And even though the tenants did it themselves, it still falls on the owner's responsibility to put it back the way that it was. There are times where if it's a simple fix, and the inspection is coming up, you can do it right before, like, put the batteries back in because, the inspector is coming, like those kind of things. But as for taking them to court and stuff, Mary might be better versed at that than me.
Well, someone had another question?
Yeah, so I want to know, so like if you do like renovations that are unpermitted, so they're not exactly to code, then would that be triggered, like, for example, like the toilet's not X amount of distance from the vanity?
Yes.
And shower with it, like, will they will actually like come in and
Yes.
buy that? And then maybe, have you ever had that happen?
Oh, yes.
It happens all the time. Yes.
Yeah.
They will make you move the detectors. Yeah.
I want to go back to Amber because I think you should also make sure that you save invoices, because if you have actually redone, if you've had your smoke detectors hardwired and you have an invoice that says it does it from a contractor, then that's proof.
Correct.
Couldn't Amber also just get the smoke alarms chicken wired and then instead of use batteries?
Right.
Yeah, and yeah, everything is document, right? Make the repair, take the picture, date it, send it to yourself, so that it has the date, so you can show the inspector or whoever's you're dealing with exactly when you've done it and how you've done it. Okay, so because that's considered proof. Yes, sir.
Well, sorry. Just one of the things that Rebecca also does is that she'll go and do a pre-inspection before the actual SCEP inspection. So that's really helpful. And that also, it's an opportunity to educate our tenants and tell them about why it's so important that we have to have these smoke detectors that are functioning. It's for their safety. So I have to run in a few minutes, but I just wanted to put my information out there for all of you. And if you ever have any questions about property management, just please feel free to reach out. We're here to help. So, but it's good to see everyone.
Thanks, Diana. Yes, sir.
I have clients that are increasingly getting away from standard tenants. I have 4 clients that do short-term rentals. So my question is now, what actually starts this? Because I have a couple tenants that have owned buildings that they don't even rent. They rent to like maybe travel nurses, project managers, and it's all 30 days at a time. So it's kind of an Airbnb, non-Airbnb model. So what actually triggers this inspection?
This inspection is completely separate from that. Okay, any rental property can go through this inspection. So it doesn't matter if it's short-term or a long-term, doesn't matter. It's all buildings will get this type of inspection. Now I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yes.
Because we're seeing it too.
Yes.
Right? And the reason for that, right, there's several reasons for it. But the primary reason is because they feel like they can charge a lot more for short-term versus long-term.
They are. I got people that are getting $3,500 for 1 bedroom.
I'm well aware of this. However, careful what jurisdiction you're in, okay? If you're in the city of Los Angeles and you are doing these types of rentals, you may fall under the hotel tax, okay? So you have to make sure that you're registered with the city, okay? First of all, the city outlaws any less than 30-day rentals for any rent stabilized building, i.e. rent controlled buildings, okay? So, but there are lots of rules. You're supposed to register them. You're supposed to pay extra taxes on them. You know, there are all sorts of rules and regulations with regards to short-term, and each one is different. The city of West Hollywood completely banned it. You literally cannot do it here in the city of West Hollywood. We sold a building on San Vicente just down the street, okay? That's all he was doing, okay? City came down on him hard. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's good to know.
Yes.
Because I have clients in like the inner city.
Exactly. Every city has their own rules.
Because
Some are more open, some are not. Okay? I would generally say the more, well, it just doesn't really matter because there's so much, you know, there's so much activity right now, but like, you know, in areas where you get a lot of tourists like West Hollywood, Beverly Hills, they have very specific rules. Santa Monica, forget it.
We're finding that maybe Hawthorne.
Yeah.
And what I'm noticing with my clients is they're finding the cities that even though they have the ordinances.
Yeah.
Is the city big enough to actually have an infrastructure to enforce it? Like do the enforcement?
That's a question.
They're playing
That's
a game in Hawthorne or any stuff like that.
That's a way to run it. Right? Obviously, there are risks involved. And everybody has to have a risk reward analysis. Right? So,
But I just wanted to know how that plays with this rule.
yeah, so what we're talking about specifically is for the city of Los Angeles.
Okay.
These step inspections, you know, every other cities have different inspections, you know, with different rules, and I don't know how often they catch it. Most, I would say 95% of our properties are in the city of Los Angeles. We do have some here in West Hollywood, we have some in Burbank, you know, we have in various other places. So we deal with those city jurisdictions, but we're talking about the ones that we're doing.
So just to sort of, so first of all, like if you have an old building and like it was to code when it was built and grandfathered in, like number one, would that be triggered? Like for example, this one building is right attached to another building, like there's no separation and like that's not like totally it's attached. So I don't know if that would be triggered, number one. And then number two, back to my earlier point, like so if you are remodeling a place and it's not exactly to code, we're not dealing with permits and all that. Like, you know, is it better to kind of go as if it meets the code guidelines, even if you aren't doing permits, because they will actually make you do things. Don't assume, that's my. So they actually, you've had situations where they make you redo everything.
Yeah, it's happened, yeah.
But what are the odds of that?
I'd say it's probably gonna happen. It's most likely gonna happen.
Sorry?
It's most likely gonna happen. If you're doing any types of remodels, it's best to do it up to code right at the beginning because it's gonna come back.
Yeah, okay, and then what about the grandfathered in stuff? I mean, like, you know.
I mean, if it's grandfathered in and it's, then it's grandfathered in, as long as the permits are there
It
and
was to code when it
yeah,
was.
exactly.
Right,
Correct.
right.
It was to code and permitted and
Right.
finals.
Right.
We had one building that we're having to redo the foundation, but literally like.
Well, the
some part of
foundation. Yeah.
And there was some kind of bolstering that the permit was open, but it was never final, so we had to, took a long time, involve the owners, find a contractor who would actually be willing to go back, get permits for work they didn't do, it was done literally decades ago. Wow. So if you buy a building and there was something previously, maybe previously to the previous owner that was not permitted, they're looking at that stuff. It's crazy.
They're actually specific and stuff, like not just code, but without permits, they're making you get permits for stuff.
Yes.
It might be a code, but if it's not permitted, it doesn't count.
Yes.
So a lot of the work that I end up doing is having to go with contractors and finding, which is another benefit of having a property management company. We do have a lot of contractors that are willing to pull those permits for us for work that they didn't do. You know, as a owner trying to find some random contractor to do that work for you, it's going to be a lot harder, but we have vendors that we trust, that they trust us and they're willing to do that work for us, but not everybody is for work that was done 50 years ago.
One thing I want to say about maintenance, and so some property management companies have their own in-house maintenance crews. I know, Mary, you used to work for a company that did that. We don't do that. We use outside vendors for all of our maintenance. And there's, how shall we say, we recently had a client who came to us because they were with another management company that was doing that. And how should I put it? They felt they were being overcharged for their maintenance issues, right? Because if you have an in-house maintenance team, you can charge, right? However much you want, to your clients for repairs, right? We don't do that. We don't have an in-house, and we don't charge a surcharge, okay? Which is rare, I'll say, in the property management world. So that's something to consider. One of the things to ask if you guys are interviewing property management companies. Are there any other questions?
Question, related to what you just said.
Yeah.
So how do you guys ensure that like the vendors that you use have like a reasonable cost and everything? Because actually at one point tried to work with property management company, and the vendors that they hired actually were super expensive. Because I think like there's no the vendors feel like they don't have to answer to an owner, and the property management just kind of okays things. So they would charge excessive amounts.
Yeah. Mary, do you want to?
Yeah, I have an opinion on everything, so. Well, we use vendors that are insured, they have workers' comp, and they have insurance. So they're professionals, and they are usually more expensive. So our vendors are not uncle who can do the stuff or whatever. So some of our owners, it's a learning process to say these are the professionals we use. They charge appropriately, and we trust them. That's why we have that relationship. We also look over invoices. So it may be, it's really a cost factor. We do look at the invoices, we do look at pricing. We want to get the best deal for our owners, of course. So, there may be a combination of factors as why that a bill seems high. It may be that you had long-term vendors that never raised their prices, or, I think there's a combination of factors.
I also will say that in all of our contracts, there's a maximum number, it's usually $500, at which the property management company, in our case us, would just, if there's an issue, we would just take care of it. If it's a $500 or less bill, usually it's a leaky toilet or, something smaller, we'll just take care of it. If it's $501 and over, that must be approved by you. So, and in that case, we would get quotes, and we would show our clients, okay, your roof is leaking. Okay, that's not a $500 fix. Okay, so these are your options. You can patch it, that's going to cost you X. Replace it, that's going to cost you X. Now, we are not contractors either, right? So, so we make that very clear at the start. But obviously, we work with contractors all the time, right? And we'll coordinate with them and work with them. So, but a lot of times our owners will have contractors. So they're like, well, I want to use my guy to do that. And we're like, cool, that's great. If you have a guy and you want to use them, and then we'll just coordinate with them just to make sure that the tenants are aware, just all that type of stuff,
But even for handyman, there's things like, I don't know, like a cabinet doors, loose. Hire like a handyman, they're probably not licensed, right? Or you try to find, or you have licensed people even for that?
No, simple jobs don't take a license contract.
Yeah, so we have handymen that we work with, the below $500 stuff, all the time, exactly. So, yeah.
And you can ask if you're interviewing property management companies, like what's the hourly rate for your general handyman? For that kind of thing, or what is it, how much is the average cost to one closet toilet? We can go look up our various vendors and what does it look like?
Yeah, you can actually provide that, like some different scopes and how much they cost.
We could work with you on that, but if it was a matter of getting a project done or something completed, if it was a toilet, we're not gonna give you estimates.
Yeah. No, I'm saying just to kind of get an idea how much your vendors charge, you'll be able to kind of like, oh, we did this and this how much it cost, this did that, and this how much it cost. So just random things, just to kind of.
Roughly, yeah, generally speaking, right? I mean, exactly, like, if there's a handle on a door or whatever, what would, roughly, so yes. Anyone else online? You guys are all just pictures to us, so we're trying to figure out if you're real or not. Anybody have any questions or thoughts? Any questions on like finance stuff? We have Andrea, our finance bookkeeping guru. Any questions for her? Or are you guys all good with your money?
Well, can I ask, I'm just curious, like what other people pay like to renovate a unit, like what's kind of the average, like, to fully renovate, like bathroom, kitchen, like a 1 bedroom, like 400 square foot, like, is it a total,
Thank you.
full bathroom, full kitchen, and just like redoing carpet floors and paint.
But it's still bad, like it could be 12 grand, it could be 30.
Yeah.
Nice kitchen, nice.
Exactly.
Yes, you have to play with the market, right?
Exactly.
Right.
You start putting cans in, you start putting appliances in,
Right.
floor, bathroom. Right, just nice.
We're gonna hire you guys, sorry. It's a very good response.
Well, then along those lines, so if we are getting it permitted, how much longer does it take the city these days to get permitted? It's like hard to say.
That's more of a, I don't have good answers for that. I know you guys have been working on some projects, Mary and Rebecca, on various things. I don't know what you guys are saying.
The permit process, it really just depends what it is. It depends. I'm doing trying to get permits for recessed lighting right now. It's taken like a month, but that work was also done previously. If you're doing the work on site, it's relatively easier. You have the inspector will come, check that it's done correctly, go back to the office, finalize the permit, and usually it'll be done, within the week. But if the work is done without the permit in the first place, that's kind of where it starts to take longer. But if you're pulling the permits as you're doing the work, it's not that hard of a process.
Right, it's just a matter of getting the inspector out. That's the difference.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Any other questions or thoughts?
Yes. Question, if you were like somehow the property and you notice the tenant damaged something,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not like, super critical, do you somehow address it right away or you wait until they move out? And kind of...
Kelly, you own properties, how do you do?
I like that. Wait till they move out. Then somebody's rent.
Exactly.
I guess your question, a lot of times it's kind of, they accepted the unit as it is. Yeah. Okay. If it's related to safety, we tend to fix it immediately. If it's kind of cosmetic, and that's kind of a back and forth discussion, I think. Exactly, okay, what is it that you need? What is it that, is that really necessary? Do we do it 50-50? Or, it's kind of up for negotiation at that point.
So that's from an owner perspective. He's an owner. Okay, let's hear from the management perspective, Mary. No, please. No, you're our lead property manager. Yeah.
No, so tell me the question again.
So like if you notice they punch a hole in the wall or something.
Oh, yeah, well, if somebody we'll hear from you too. So if somebody is damaged in it, if they've, I mean, and they haven't told you,
Yeah, you kind of, maybe you were looking at something else, you went to fix the toilet, and you noticed something.
oh, I bring it up, for sure.
Yeah, that, and then, I mean, and they pay a deposit, so when they move out, they'll probably repair it,
Yeah.
come out of the deposit.
Well, that's my question, like, should it be addressed right away, or kind of wait?
It's
I'm not gonna
preventative
say-
maintenance, it's to make sure, I would do it right away.
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely ask, if you're inside, you ask, oh, what happened there? You
Yeah.
know, and, generally, I'm sure you'll get an explanation, and then, you can replace it there and charge them, maybe, and then, or wait until they move, you know, whichever you choose, but it'll come out their deposit.
Yeah, no,
Or,
sure,
or
yeah.
you can charge them for that.
But there's a regulation around the functioning toilet. I mean, you can't, they've got to be able to have a toilet. No, the issue is not with the toilet, of course, yeah, I understand that had to be addressed, but something like there's a hole in the wall in the driveway.
Yeah.
Something you notice that is maybe not, you know, particularly, you know, like it's still livable. But you notice that, yeah, somewhere that, do you bring it up right away or?
Yeah.
We've had a couple of situations where a tenant actually said, oh, I damaged this, and, or if you notice, but in our ordinance just split the cost of them.
Yeah.
And then we just add it to the.
Yeah.
Hey there, guys. This is Sergio from online. I have a question. I have a client actually that is with me now, just walked in, and I've kind of brought him up to speed. With the meeting of today, do we know what they were voting on specifically and what didn't pass? And then what dates are coming or what to expect from that? Is the moratorium on, I think the question is, moratorium on rental increases versus evictions? How is that coming along since COVID and the frustration of not being able to increase rents or evict people?
That is an excellent question. I think the question for your client that's sitting there is, where is your client's property located?
It's centrally in Hollywood.
So Hollywood is the city of Los Angeles. So the people who were meeting today was actually the county of Los Angeles, and they were ruling mostly on unincorporated areas or areas of Los Angeles that don't have basically levels of rent control. Whereas the city of Los Angeles, which is where it sounds like your client's property is located, still is under LA city rules. And as of right now, that eviction moratorium and or rent increase moratorium as well is not going to be lifted until I think June 2023. Okay? Yes, sir. It's going to be August. They keep moving it. Yeah, there is. This is a evolving situation. I'll put it that way. Okay, it's an evolving situation. So so what happened today, Sergio, just to clarify, was not specifically for the city of LA. So whatever happened today, frankly, won't affect your client. What will affect your client is what's happening in the city. And so you should be focused, you should tell your client to be focused on what's happening in the city. And as of right now, we know that at least until next year, they haven't lifted the moratorium. I know that LA Housing has written a white paper that has talked about when to lift it. I think they're suggesting, I think that was it. The white paper is suggesting August 2023.
How about the city council voted to?
No, that's a department, a housing department study that they're proposing to the city. That's right. So, and that's their proposal. In that proposal as well, just for those of you who are curious, they are also recommending that LA Housing now have authority over non-rent controlled houses. Okay? As of right now, if you own a single family, you own a condo, you own a post-1978 built property, your property is not under the rent control, okay? And frankly, housing doesn't even go check those, as far as I know. Is that correct?
Yeah, no, they don't, they only check rent control.
They only control rent control. They want, during this eviction moratorium, this covered all of those, right? This covered rent control and non-rent control. So the housing authority is recommending to the city council that they have authority over all rental housing in the city of Los Angeles. Okay? Yes, I won't go there. So, anyways, something for all of us to consider. Anything else? We're getting, gosh, we've been gone for a while, sorry.
I have one more question.
Yes.
In regards to how the owner, your owner, how are the owners dealing with the non-payment? Because there's still some non-payment out there, and as I've transacted buildings,
Yeah.
there's always a delinquency.
Yes.
So what's going on? How are owners dealing with that, especially those that are buying? Because I've had deals fall out because the delinquency report is just too insane.
Yep.
How are you guys experiencing that? And as far as how you dealing with tenancy,
Yeah.
it's like, I'm not paying whatever.
Yeah.
But you can't sell the building because tenant still owes 40 grand.
Yeah.
Are they gonna, one, how are you dealing with it? And two, how do you recover that? Are you gonna have to go to civil court to recover that?
Yes, so all good questions. So what I would say is this, and I'll try to wrap this up fairly quickly, is that so with delinquencies, obviously we, at least in our portfolio of over 200 units, our delinquency is down to 1%. Okay, a lot of that is because we are very proactive with our tenants, right? And because even if they're delinquent, they still owe that money. Okay? So every month they get a ledger showing them exactly how much they owe. And they can put it off, but eventually that bill will come to you. Okay?
The city's gonna make them repay.
Well, they have to repay, they owe it.
Right.
They owe it. Okay? Now, you would technically have to go to civil court to get it. So usually there's some type of negotiation that happens, right? Okay, the reason we're down to 1% is because most of our tenants who are behind decide that they can no longer afford to live there. That's why they're behind, right?
So they're gonna move out.
That's usually what happens, okay? Now, and then others apply for government support and they get it, okay? Now, going to the sale question, right? Some people are looking for distressed properties, I heard that. You know, some people are looking for that. They're looking for a distressed property, you know, so you obviously have to, that's a marketing question for the broker, right? In terms of how you present that, you know, some people, you know, some people are looking for that. Some people are like, hey, they're distressed, the owner's distressed, nobody's paying rent, they can't pay their mortgage. Maybe there's a deal to be made.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask my friend, an investor friend, he has a tenant who actually is receiving government assistance, and the tenant is actually taking the money and not paying the rent still.
Yeah.
Nothing you can do, right? Still.
So I don't know how that works because we always receive the money directly. Usually the money is sent to the landlord, so I don't know exactly what's going on in that situation.
Yeah.
You know, in our case, whenever we've received government funds, which we've received a few, right? Usually it comes straight to the landlord.
That makes sense.
How are you dealing with homeless issues around surrounding properties?
Oh gosh. I think that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, that's a whole.
That's a whole nother conversation.
The whole session.
Yeah, we can talk later.
Yes.
Okay.
Anyone else online? I want to give everybody an opportunity to close before we close out. Anthony, do you want to take us out?
Yeah, sure. I mean, this was really, really informative. Great questions from everybody. Will and his team is amazing. There's such a wealth of knowledge and resource to me and to our office. So thank you guys for being a part of this and everything that you shared. It was really valuable. If you are a homeowner or know any homeowners in the city of West Hollywood, the deadline for the ADU assistance program is in 2 weeks. So if you don't know what that is, our last session that we had was all about ADUs. And we had someone from the city come in and talk to us about their program. So basically what they're gonna do is they're gonna give you a $150,000 loan to help you build an ADU at a 1% interest rate. They're gonna manage the project for you, get contractors, architects, everything that you need, and help see the project through. You apply for this program, they have very few applications in, and they're giving these low rate loans in this whole program to a few people. So September 30th is the last day to apply, so spread the word to anyone that you know to get them involved. So
Is it just in
West Hollywood. It's a pilot program that hopefully they'll expand to be even bigger and bring to LA at some point. But it's on our YouTube page. The last session tells you all the details. If you want any contact information or the website in that, something simple, let me know and I can send that to you right away.
Contractors in that, or do you have to?
You can choose your own, or if you don't want to be involved, they'll help and set it up for you. So it's pretty cool. So definitely that's just a reminder. And then our next session, usually we have like a real estate fair every year. We haven't had one since COVID, but we're bringing that back and we're adding a whole fall carnival to it. So it's going to be our next session with Multifamily Meetup. It's going to be we're going to have seminars here in the office all throughout the day. They'll be quick bursts, so they'll be like 20-minute seminars on how to improve your credit, on why people are using 7-year loans rather than 30-year fixed at the moment, and all kinds of different cool things that are going to happen, as well as Will's going to be doing some stuff. But it's going to be on October 23rd here, and then outside in the parking lot next door, we're going to have carnival games, hot dog eating contests, carnival food, all kinds of fun stuff, plus a lot of great vendors that you'll be able to meet that'll be out there that are real estate vendors. So that'll be on the 23rd from 2 to 6, and we'd love to see all of you guys there. You'll start getting emails as long as you're part of our LA Multifamily Meetup group. If you're not, LAMultifamilyMeetup.com is the direct link, and sign up. We're almost at 2,000 members, so maybe we'll be there by the fall fair and do something special. So again, thank you guys. This is recorded, so you're welcome to come back and watch it on YouTube. Just search The Collective Realty on YouTube, and we'll see you next month, October 23rd. Bye, everybody. And we have a lot of food. You guys hang out, have some food, have a drink, network, and go.
I'll show you. Sorry, I did the full kitchen remodel. New appliances, and then I be on my Instagram.
Oh, I could. You have Instagram. I'll do it on Instagram.